All right, what's going on, everyone? Today, we are going to talk about two-handed and one-handed bowling and the differences between them. I have my great buddy, Packy Hanrahan here. And also, guys, go check out his YouTube channel. It's called Two-Handed Bowling. Packy's going to start giving some tips on two-handed bowling.
Yeah, going to start some instructional content on there, and hopefully, I know a lot of the youth bowlers out there are two-handed, so hopefully give you guys some tips to improve your game and take it to the next level.
Yeah, so go check it out, and now let's get into the video. So Packy, two-handed bowling, it's this new phenomenon that's been coming up, and there's a lot of people doing it. Now, it looks a lot different than the one-handed game, but as we've kind of talked about, there's a lot of similarities that translate from one-handed bowling to two-handed bowling and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that's 100% right. I mean, there's a lot of key, the main parts of one-handed bowling and the real key factors that make a good one-handed bowler as good as they are really translates directly over to the two-handed game.
Yeah, when I try to coach two-handers now and just breaking down a lot of two-hander videos, a lot of the timing, the footwork, and body positioning is a little different. Two-handed bowlers, I feel like, have to have a little bit more spine tilt, but there are a lot of similarities. You can show in this part of the swing, they need to be here. You need to be here at the going into the release, and there's just a lot of things that are really the same. But what are some of the key differences that you've noticed in the two-handed game as opposed to someone that throws it one-handed?
Yeah, some of the key differences is obviously, you know, the arm swing, your other hand's going to be on it.
Right.
But one of the biggest pieces to that would be the timing of the arm swing is a little bit later. Just like a natural huge power player might have a little later timing,
right,
their timing is also a little later. And probably the other biggest one would be body positioning. You know, just the direction that you're facing from the start of the approach all the way till when you're at the foul line. You just got to be a little more open than a natural one-hander, because unlike a one-hander where you can just swing that ball freely, you got to bring your second arm with you.
Right. If we were to grab a bowling ball, I mean, if I try to bring this ball back two-handed and keep my shoulders completely square,
yeah, you can't throw it the direction you want to throw it.
But if I open them up, now I created a swing path to where I can do that. And that translates a lot into, like you just said, power players. You know, guys that open their shoulders up, they can now create a big backswing and then come through and hit it. So, and when we talk about body positioning too, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it seems like two-handers, they have to have a little bit more forward spine tilt as well. So when we talk about forward spine tilt, meaning that if this is a neutral spine tilt position, it seems like two-handers have to be a little bit more forward to kind of create that backswing.
Yeah,
do you feel that way?
I would 100% agree. Your spine tilt does, because unlike a one-hander where you have that straight arm swing, since you're going to be bending that elbow or even straightening out that elbow, if you want to create any sort of power, you're going to have to kind of bend your back down. But the biggest thing from that is with a lot of two-handers, they almost go too far down and they end up throwing the ball with their back, which wouldn't be...
Which isn't good.
It's not good. It's going to create some problems down the road, not only in scoring, but also physically.
Yeah, there's always that healthy balance that you kind of have to keep. And I know when we talked about a little bit of body positioning. The one thing that I notice, and if we can get into why two-handers have so much power, it's obviously most of them aren't using their thumb, right?
Yeah.
And it's not only that they're not using your thumb. For me, when I look at a two-hander and why they create so much power, they can get their hand, and we've talked about this on how to hook bowling ball videos and how to create more power. If you, at the point of the release, if you can get that hand to be, if there's an equator, and this is the center of the ball, the more you can get those fingers under the equator and rotate through the ball, the more power you're gonna have. Well, two-handers, without having the thumb in it, they can cup that ball pretty much the entire time. And their hands are so deep, so under the ball at the bottom of the release that they can just rip through it. Whereas as soon as you put that thumb in, it makes it a lot more difficult to keep that ball, the hand under the ball.
You gotta use some muscle to get underneath it. And that's probably the biggest benefit of being two-handed, is your hand is almost automatically underneath the ball. Those fingers are automatically underneath, cupped under, and with a one-handed bowler, you got to stick your thumb in there, and then you got to try and really work your hand underneath the ball as opposed to it being almost automatic two-handed.
Cool. Let's throw some shots and maybe talk about some of the things that you work on, and then maybe how it's different for me one-handed. And let's just kind of give the viewers some shots of us throwing balls. All right, Packy, so if you're going into just a normal practice session, we're not working on anything on the lanes, you're just working on your physical game. Yeah. What would you say are some of your key things as a two-hander that you work on in your physical game to make sure you're staying sharp?
Yeah, so two of my key things. The first one is, like we talked a little bit about earlier, really making sure my spine tilt doesn't dip too far down. Because the second I start throwing it with my back, my speed gets really inconsistent. Sometimes I throw it too hard, sometimes too soft.
Okay. So when you say that, what do you think about or use to not have so much forward spine tilt or bend over so much?
My main thought would be really just try and keep my chest facing the pins the whole time, instead of whereas it might dip and face the ground. I just really try and keep my chest and shoulders up facing the pins.
Okay, well, so let's throw a shot to where you're just kind of working on keeping that chest up the entire time. Chest up, good swing, 6-pin just falls. And what's cool when you say that, and this is why we kind of made this video, is because even though the games are so different, that's something that I work on all the time, is keeping my chest up. Having a higher backswing, when my backswing goes up too high, I like to bend too far forward, my swing gets steep, and I'm not creating that good leverage. So what's interesting is, something that you work on, keeping your chest up. As a one-handed player, I'm working on the same thing all the time. We're just doing it a couple different ways.
Just a different way.
So that's one thing. Is there anything else that you work on to try to stay sharp?
Yeah, it's actually funny. I know we didn't talk about this earlier, but something that I also work on is making sure that my arm swing doesn't get too high, because I know it's kind of related with that back. When I get my arm swing, when it comes up a little too high, then the ball really starts going into the lane instead of me projecting it out onto the lane. And it kind of goes hand in hand with that, keeping the chest up, making sure the arm swing is just a little too low.
Yeah, and I think it's, just because we've been talking about this two-handed phenomenon and it looks so much different, the real point I think we need to get across here is that the games are really similar. There's a lot of things that, if you're doing it wrong in the two-handed game, if you're doing those same things wrong one-handed, it's not going to be good. So, you know what I want to do? I'm gonna throw a shot two-handed real quick, and I want you to give me my honest opinion.
I'll give you the honest opinion.
Okay, here we go. So I can't do the whole approach thing. I got to scoot up. I don't even know how many steps I take. I got to give it a little shuffle, but here we go. Here's my two-handed game. Oh, God. Butter. So I know the balance was a little off, but what kind of criticism do you have? What can I work on for being two-handed?
I think that was pretty good. The biggest thing I think everybody can really work on would just be versatility and making sure that you can really do it the same every time.
Yeah.
But from that shot, balance. Balance is always the key thing. One-handed, two-handed. If you can stay on balance, you know when a shot is your fault and when the lanes might have changed a little bit on you.
2021 PBA Tour, watch out. My man's going two-handed. Well, Packy, thanks for joining us today. Again, everyone, go check out Packy's YouTube channel. He's gonna be giving some coaching tips, two-handed bowling on YouTube. When do you think you're gonna start seeing some videos come out?
Probably the first couple weeks. I'll do some non-instructional stuff on my channel as always, maybe the occasional ball review or vlog, but the instructional stuff and really how to bowl two-handed, a lot of that stuff's gonna be coming out early January, so keep an eye out for it.
Heck yeah, so all you two-handers out there, make sure you go check them out, even one-handers. Go subscribe to Packy's channel. And guys, Packy's part of our house, all of our lovely friends. Go check out our merch site. It's the only reason that we can eat and keep the lights on. So the link's in the description, thehousebowling.com. Buy some merch.
Feed us.
Please. We'll see y'all later.